Dear Diary, mood. There was a car accident. Film school diary. My 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 film school diary. Hey, welcome to my film school diaries. So today I want to discuss our third production workshop. So, as usual, while I was doing production workshops, I tried to get it out of actually being a filmmaker, it seems. I would do makeup, I would do set design, anything in order to avoid being a filmmaker, which is really weird because I was literally there to be a filmmaker, but I was going to avoid as much as possible, it seems. So, in this particular project, we were going to do a commercial. We were going to do a commercial about a car. Who doesn't love a commercial about a car? Honestly, we did multiple of them throughout my tenure at that school. We did at least two, I know for sure, and they were both interesting. But this is going to be about our third production workshop where we did this ad for a car. So the idea was one of my classmates had a really nice car. Like his car was so nice, and we loved it. And the one who was directing this particular short or this particular commercial had a Prius, which honestly, at the time, I didn't drive or own a car. I would sooner or later buy my own Prius, so I am a little bit of a Prius person. But at the time, I wasn't like a driver. I didn't really have a car. I just kind of was driven places because that's who I am. So anyway, we're going to do this ad for a Prius about how you should have like eco cars or something. I don't know. I didn't follow it. I didn't write the script. I don't think I even watched the project when it was done. But I was going to be put in charge of set design and art direction, which honestly was going to be kind of easy because they already had the cars. Not like I had to go rent a car. I mean, I wasn't even 25 yet. I couldn't even rent a car without like approval from like an adult or something. I don't know. So anyway, we were going to go do this car commercial. So, if you remember correctly, the way we did our production workshops is that we had to pick our crew. It was all of us in one class. We had to pick like who was directing, who was cinematographering, who was producing, who was, I want to say, ADing, I believe. So those positions were all filled by people who actually wanted them. I, again, was going to be art direction or I was going to be makeup, depending on what those were. A lot of times our class would put that as one position. So I ended up doing both, and they acted like that was normal. But it's really not. You really should have your own makeup artist and you should have art director. Those are not the same people. But whatever, I can do both. I'm an artsy person. I'm a makeup person. It's fine. I can do it. So anyway, we were going to do this. And the one who was directing it, me and him didn't really work together on a lot of things. We kind of had different mindsets. I don't know. We just didn't really vibe well. It's not like I had a problem with him. I still keep up with him on like LinkedIn. But I don't really understand a lot of his visions, and he didn't really tell me his vision very well. So we kind of, not that we butted heads, I just didn't understand what he wanted. So I was in charge of art direction. So he told me he wanted eco stickers on the car. I'm like, I don't really know a lot about cars and I don't know a lot about eco stuff, but I'm like, eco stickers on the car. So I'm at my computer. I'm at home. I'm spending like 24 hours a day finding out what is eco stickers. What are eco stickers? And I was like, maybe those little green stickers that say the car's eco friendly. And so I'm printing these up. I'm printing them up on my own budget. I am using all the ink from my inkjet printer. I am printing up as many as possible. I bring him in. He goes, no, I didn't want that. And I was like, what did you want then? This is a lot of work all of a sudden for me for a project that I don't really think is going to matter that much in the grand scheme, and I don't really care that much about. So he's like, no, I wanted those like stickers that go on the bumpers. Bumper stickers is what he meant, but he told me eco stickers. He wanted a bumper sticker that was talking about being eco-friendly. He wanted me to make up fun catchphrases about save the planet, go green, you can make a change, only you can stop forest fires, whatever. Okay, cool. I can do that. That's actually creative. I'm capable of that. That I can understand. So I said, okay, I can make that happen. And he's like, I don't want you to spend that much money on this though, because I'm not going to pay you for these props. So print them up yourself. Ink isn't free, guys. You still have to pay for ink, but whatever. It's fine. Don't worry. I got it. It's fine. So that was my big prop I had to make, where he wanted a bunch of eco-friendly stickers on his bumper stickers. So that's fine. And then the other thing that, again, he didn't want me to spend money on, but he also wasn't going to help. He wanted the talking person to be on a Bluetooth. Like, he wanted the lead actor to be on a Bluetooth. I'm like, do you have a Bluetooth? No. Okay. How am I supposed to get this without it? He's like, well, I don't really want to spend money on this because it's not really an important project. So I'm like, so we kind of got to scrap. He's like, no, we need it. It could have been hands-free. It was a car commercial. We could have talked about hands-free technology. But no, I had to get a Bluetooth for this. Okay. So he's like, well, go to a rental house. I'm like, those aren't free either. You have to pay to rent them. We didn't have like a school rental house. So I'm like, okay. So I finally just decided, you know what? I can use a Bluetooth in my own props. So I went and bought a Bluetooth out of my own money. I picked it up and he's like, well, you can return it afterwards. I'm like, this isn't from like IKEA. You can't just return these things. Like once it's open, it's clearly been used. Like they're not going to take this back. So I just ended up owning a Bluetooth that I never used because I don't care about Bluetooth. I have headphones. I don't talk on the phone that much. I don't like talking to people. I'm not like a friendly person. Whatever. So I buy that. I print up these eco stickers. I printed up. I was being smart though because I didn't want to buy a bunch of fancy paper. So what I did was I printed up on regular printer paper that I already had. That's a little cost saving tip. Use paper that you already have. And then I took some clear masking tape or duct tape. I can't remember the exact brand, but I took that and I put it over it so it gave it a glossy finish. And it was very efficient because it was like, I already had the tape, I already had the paper, it's fine. And then I figured we could just attach it with some gaffer's tape or paper tape to the back of the bumper, and it would be no fuss, no muss. And we didn't have to go buy a bunch of stickers. Because again, doing this on a budget, not a budget that I was putting out there, but he wasn't paying for anything. So I had to figure out how to do it for cheap. So at this point, I'm already like $35 in buying the Bluetooth. I got a cheap Bluetooth. I got it on sale. I know where to search for sales, but it was like, I want to say it was like $30 for that. And then if we wanted to start taking into account the paper I was already had and the tape and all that stuff, probably about $35 for me at this point. That's fine. And my school also just expected makeup to be free. They expected me to just have all this free makeup because I was a drag queen at the time. Well, I'm still a drag queen. But they expected me to just have all this free makeup. So they're like, just bring your kit. Okay, so that's free, I guess, to them. So good for them. They found a guy who was willing to do it for free. Bad for me because I was the guy doing it for free. Neither here nor there. I'm just venting, it seems. So that's fine. And so we're getting ready for this, whatever. My other classmate who was letting us use his fancy car against the other guys, the director's Prius, had his car there, whatever. Okay, so we did all of our production workshops over the weekend. So they were like, oh, we have free time, so we're going to come and do a class on Sundays. I don't think that counts as a free day if it's an actual acquired class that you have to be at, so whatever. But we all meet up. We have to go over to the little street that they got. I don't think they got permits for this, to be honest. They said they did, but cars were flying by. There was no blocking anywhere. It wasn't very safe. It was like, if you're not filming right now, sit on the sidewalk or in the strangers' yards and hope they don't yell at you because we're filming right here. They could have done this outside of the school. We could have done it in the school parking lot. But no. The director had a vision. He was an artist. So the basic concept of his script, very cerebral. He wanted to have this one fancy, expensive car who pulled up and had really bad gas mileage. And then they were going to have the guy with the eco-friendly Prius drive up and be saving so much money on gas. Okay, so we hired 2 actors. And here's the part that always gets me when it comes to casting. There was a couple guys in our school that we would cast a lot. Well, I didn't really know them, but the other guys would cast them a lot. Like, this guy's the funniest thing they've ever met. He was fine. He was just like a somewhat comedic actor. I don't know, but they'd hire him in everything. He was always acting. I'm going to call him Brian. I don't think that was his actual name, but we're going to call him Brian. He gave the vibe of a Brian. So Brian was going to be the one driving the Prius. He was going to be the one driving he wasn't very smart because he didn't have an expensive car, but you know what? He was good on gas mileage and he's kind of funny. And the guy, God bless him, he was like an average looking guy. He wasn't like super hot. He was just like a dude. And I think that was the basic idea of the guy driving the other car is real hot and he's got a fancy car, while the one who's saving money and being good is kind of a schlub. But you know what? It's better to save money than be hot. The thesis of this commercial, I didn't understand. And I still don't. To this day, I don't get it. So we are now on the street with our actors. And then we have the other actor pull up in the nice car who was like a hottie. Who's like, what's up? What's good? What's happening? So wait, actually, if I remember correctly, I might have got those wrong. Let's reset. Let's rewind. I think we had the hot actor driving the Prius. So it shows if you drive a Prius, you might be a hottie. And if you drive nice cars, you might be funny, but not that attractive. Again, I don't know. There's a lot based off these guys' looks. I remember them talking about them a lot. And they were very much about like, ooh, that guy's really hot. And this guy's not. And I'm like, who cares? Who cares? This is about a car. But anyway, so I'm over there doing the guy's makeups. And Brian, funny guy, he gave me a bit of an odd vibe to me personally. I don't know. He didn't really like like my vibe for some reason. He didn't like that he had to get in makeup. He didn't understand why men had to wear makeup on camera. And I was like, because you're shiny. Honey, you're shiny. But whatever. And then the other guy, the more attractive, good looking guy, we'll call him, let's say Max. He was like totally into it. He's like, he knew he was hot and he wanted to be hotter. He was like, you can elevate my face. So I am beating him to the gods. He looks stunning. We're contouring. He looks so good. It's amplifying everything. He looks great. So I remember the director comes over. And I guess Brian said something. And he's like, you don't need to put so much makeup on these men. They're men. They're supposed to look like men. I was like, every big actor you talk about that you find so attractive has a little bit of concealer, honey. They got a little bit of makeup. They got to put some powder on that face, beat them so they're not so shiny. And he's like, well, we just need a little powder then. You don't need to do all that. And I was like, this is your film. That's fine. But I'm the one who's being credited as makeup here. So I'm going to do what I need to do. So don't even. So I won that argument because he looked at the other guy and he's like, yeah, he does look hotter. I'm like, yeah, I know. But also, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter if he's hot or not because that's not part of the commercial. But anyway, Max looked stunning. So we're looking at the bumper. It looks fine. They look like bumper stickers that they're supposed to. Again, these are free bumper stickers that I made myself. I should have coined the phrases. They were cute. It was like, go green or the world will burn. You know, dumb stuff, whatever. So the other guy who had the nice fancy car, he was like our car guy at school. He would always criticize me if I did drive my car and I would hit a bumper or I'd hit something. Not like a car bumper, but like my bumper would like hit the side of the road or something sometimes because I'm like a little crazy driver. And he's like, you're ruining your car. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not a car guy. It's not for me. Anyway, so he comes over and he sees that I'm putting these stickers on the director's Prius that the director told me to do. And he's like, you're ruining the paint with that, like the tape. And I'm like, it's barely tape. It's like, it's not even gaffer tape. It's like paper tape. It's like, it's sticking on with like a wish and a dream. It's like a little bit of spit and a little bit of paper to hold it on. It's barely there. So anyway, that's fine, whatever. He's having a hissy fit that I'm ruining the director's paint. I'm like, I don't care. I do not care. This is not my car, and this is not my car fantasy. These are not my dreams of making the best car commercial ever, because this ain't it. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so we are now getting ready to shoot. I'm chilling in the corner with Carly. We're chilling. We have our little snacks out. We're sitting on some person's lawn, probably trespassing. I don't know. No one verified this. They're just like, sit in the grass. Go sit on that person's house. Like, I don't know. I wasn't. I was just chilling there. Had a little Pringles, had a little snack, chilling. So we're hanging out. Me and Red, we're sitting there chilling, doing our thing. Me and Carly hanging out, whatever. And at this point, my job is done, I guess. I've done the makeup. The director won't let me put any more on. So I'm just supposed to sit there and not even supposed to check on if they're shiny anymore because no one cares. So we filmed a couple shots. We have a couple through the window of the Prius with like the one hot guy talking on his hands. Maybe he's talking hands free. I don't know what he's doing. I don't understand the commercial. And then we talked to the funny guy in his fancy car, and he's on his Bluetooth, the Bluetooth that I still have, I think, somewhere. Ugh. Anyway, so we're doing all that, and it's fun. It's whatever. And there's a cardinal rule that you're not supposed to break. Actors cannot drive in like videos. Like, you can't actually have actors drive unless it's a closed lot, or they're on a track, or they're being pulled by a dolly, I believe. And so your actors are never supposed to drive. So again, I'm sitting on the lawn with Carly, Red. We're just hanging out, chilling. Whatever. It's cute. We're having fun, okay? And then, bam! Car crash. They're screaming. I'm pretty sure we got people running everywhere. Ah! Everybody's losing their minds. They're losing. Everybody's freaking out. And girl, do I tell you, the drama was hot. The tea was piping. So I get up and I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Carly's like, what's happening? What's happening? But we're running over there. And we see the owner of the really nice car, who's from our class. He is screaming. He is screaming at Brian. He is yelling at Brian. He is screeching. I guess what happened was the director told Brian, the actor who is not on a closed lot, not on a track, and not on a dolly, to drive the car up a little bit and then get out for the next shot. Brian, because he was in acting mode, forgot that cars need to be put in park or turned off before you get out of them. The car was on. It was still in drive. And he got out of the car and let the car roll. I'm not saying you should ever yell or scream at somebody. You shouldn't. You should never do this. But this is also fair. This was a hazard. Where were our teachers? Where are you guys? Hello? They were all just like, well, don't yell at the actress. Not the actress' fault. This is fair. This was a hazard. Luckily, our classmate who had the nice car, his car ran into the Prius. Boom. Crash. Smash. Bam. Boom. And he was losing his mind. He was face to face, this close. They might kiss to the actor. Hello. I'm so mad at you. I'm so mad at you. I'm so mad at you for crashing my car. The car was fine. Both cars were fine. I'm not saying the bumper stickers stopped the bumpers from hitting, but honestly, my little bumper sticker, my little double padded with tape bumper sticker, right between them. No paint even touched, honey. It was fine. It was safe. It was good. So, anyway, they're screaming, yelling. Finally, I want to say our cinematographer teacher walked over and he's like, guys, don't scream, don't fight. Life's too short. Let's go get high and have a nice time. And so finally we got the whole situation diffused. The actor's red. He's beat red. He's so angry. I have to go over them and put some makeup on him because he's rubbed off his face. If you don't want that much makeup on you, then don't get into a screaming match with some other guy. Again, let's fit close. So anyway, we finished filming this project. It was chaos. We were running around, July's running around screaming, Red's running around screaming, Carly running around screaming, whatever. It was great. We had a great time. So we have our little lunch break. We finished the film. And it's fun. It's good. It's whatever. So again, as our projects move forward, we all rotate kind of positions through the projects. And so everybody's got to either edit, you got to write, you gotta direct, whatever. And so I want to say July was in charge of editing this short, I believe. He got in charge of a lot of them. If I was set decorating, if I was art directing, he was probably editing. That's the thing is we both kind of knew our niches and we kind of stuck with them. And so we're doing our thing or whatever. And he's not doing well as far as the editing. He doesn't seem excited about this. He's not enjoying it. And he's like, no, the footage is real bad. And we're like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. And, oh, maybe not even that the footage was bad. The footage itself looked good, but I guess there wasn't a lot of it because of the fight. I don't know. I'm not really sure exactly what happened with this whole scenario because I was just makeup and art. Once I got to tape some stickers to a car and paint some guy's face, I got to go sit and chill for the rest of the shoot. So anyway, we would always premiere after I want to say that Friday we'd all sit down with our directing teacher and cinematography teacher and watch the shorts we made from our little production workshop. So we sit down and we're going to watch our premiere of our commercial. So it was so quick. It was 30 seconds. And it was hot guy pulls up in a nice car and he's like, hey, loser, look at your Prius. And then the loser guy's like, hey, my gas is better than yours or something. I don't know. I can't really remember. Anyway, that was it. The directing teacher's like, none of you filmed the car for the car commercial. There was not a single insert of the car in a car commercial. Every single car commercial you've ever seen is hey, look at this truck. Look at this truck on a mountain. Look at this truck in the lot. We didn't. No, I'm not saying we because I wasn't part of this at this point. I did my job. They did not film the car. There was not a single car in this car commercial. You couldn't see the whole shot of it. The closest we got was a window. So it looked like we were advertising windows and bumper stickers. Cute bumper stickers, but that was it. And that became one of the biggest points of content for the whole class. My teacher is yelling. Directing teacher's screeching. He's like, dude, you guys didn't get the car in the car commercial. What are you trying to film here? And they're like, art. He's like, well, this wasn't supposed to be art. This was supposed to be a commercial. And you didn't show the product. That's the biggest problem you have is not showing the car in the car commercial. And so that one was kind of a fail, I think, on all of our parts. And the hard part is nobody was going to take credit for the failure. Everybody was like, no, I'm an artist. This is the best film ever made. We just forgot inserts. We forgot the actual product. But don't worry, we're also famous. We're celebrities. We're making movies, whatever. But yeah, so I would say the moral of this lesson is that at the end of the day, you really do need to actually show your products when it comes to your commercials. And that honestly for me became actually a really good lesson. I think a lot of the times we forget to learn things in school. I was avoiding actually being a filmmaker because I didn't want to do it with this in these classes. I didn't really want to do it, so I didn't necessarily always learn the most about cinematography or directing or lighting, whatever. But I did learn the real lessons that if you're filming a commercial about a product, you should show the product. You have a bunch of artists who are sitting around playing with a camera. One of them should take a photo of the product. Maybe even a still video, maybe a slow motion video on a track. Something beautiful, something lovely. It's okay to get very cerebral when it comes to your products, but it's also okay to show them. Show them with a little price point. Show them with warranties, things like that. That's okay too. And I have noticed that now, as I watch commercials, I do pay attention. Are they showing the product? How is the product looking? A lot of times I've actually noticed a lot of commercials recently are not doing that. They're not actually showing the product. And it does make it very confusing what you're buying. So that's something we need to go back to bringing is showing the product, because it just doesn't actually help you to avoid showing products. I will say it is also really interesting to get a soundboard. I will say as a director, and I feel that's the thing is I don't want to speak ill too much about this other director. Yeah, we were all students, we were all learning. I think there's got to be a soundboard when it comes to certain products and certain kind of collaborative pieces of work like this. Is that, yeah, it's really fun to show cool cars. We get it, you have a cool car. That's great. But the bigger thing that needs to be discussed is actual conversations about why are we showing this? Because even now, I'm the only person who probably remembers this project. I don't think my classmates even know what I'm talking about. If I message them about this, I have contact with people and they have no idea which project I was talking about. It wasn't memorable. It wasn't something that actually came up that we would talk about again. And to this point, I can't even really tell you which actor was doing what part in said project. It was very unmemorable because they didn't really have someone discussing why they were doing what they were doing. So that is one of the things I think is actually very, very important when it comes to making products and making art, is that you really need to have discussions with your collaborators about what you're doing. Is this the best actor for this role? Yes, he might be funny, but he's going to be very mean to the makeup guy, and he's going to start a fight with the one person who's supplying the most expensive prop, which is a full car. A full, very expensive, nice car. Also, I think there should be something to be said about not that this is a stunt, but you need to have some sort of person who is actually in charge of cars. Somebody who is in charge of bigger, more expensive products. So, like, if you do have a car, you need to have, like, a track. You need to have a closed-off section. You cannot just have an open road. This was just a street in Burbank. That is not safe. You cannot just have that. Thankfully, the car did bump into the other car that we were using. It wasn't someone else's car. It didn't run off down the street. We were on a bit of an incline. It could have gone down a hill. Honestly, the safest outcome was it hit one of our cars in the group. But it was very dangerous otherwise. So I would definitely say that is a conversation that needs to be had of who's wrangling these props. Who's in charge of this? Yes, I was the art director, sure. But, like, I wasn't allowed to go near the cars. People know I bump the bumper when I drive over a speed bump. People know that. So yeah, they didn't put me in charge of cars. They would never put me in charge of cars. That's fair. But, like, you do need to have probably like somebody who coordinates those type of thing, and you cannot let it be one of your actors. That's very dangerous. That's not very safe. Do not ever expect someone to act and be in charge of machinery. That's very dangerous. And we learned that from this exact lesson. I do think on some level, though, it was an interesting experience. It was definitely something that went down in a bit of infamy in our class. The director of that project and the guy who owned the nice car, they definitely felt like they were always kind of like at each other's throats. And I will say the actor, I think, might have lost some projects with us because everybody was kind of blaming him for the car situation. And that's not really fair to him as an actor. It's not his responsibility to drive while you're acting. Again, that's against a lot of policies and a lot of rules. But I think also everybody really took it out on him. I remember there were so many conversations. How dumb do you have to be not to turn off a car? How dumb do you have to be this? Da, 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 da. And it's like, yeah, but you guys are also understanding that he is still trying to get your shot for you. The director didn't tell him to turn off the car. The director told him to get out of the car right after you do this thing. So he did it. And his brain just wasn't there. And that's the thing is you can't really expect everyone to coddle you forever, especially your actors. That's the big thing with directing and filmmaking in general, is most of the time you have to be in charge. You have to double think about everything, especially when it comes to actors and your crew, is that you're in charge of everything. And the fact that everybody was blaming the actor when it's like that honestly should have been a conversation of you didn't direct him to do that. You're the director. You did not actually put someone else in charge of the car itself. You were expecting your actor to do that, and you just expected his common sense to take over when yours wasn't even doing that. So I would say that is a very specific conversation that needs to be had in those type of situations that aren't being had. I will say from a learning standpoint and a learning purview when it comes to school is I would not. I honestly, I think the directors teaching and like the producing teachers all should have kind of come together and had that should have been a lesson. Luckily, it did just run into another car, and you didn't have it run over somebody. We were all sitting on the sidewalk. You guys didn't have a specific space to put your crew, so we were on the sidewalk. We were near the car. Luckily, I was in probably somebody's like front lawn eating chips with Carly and Red, but other people, like, you could have had someone's foot run over, you could have had something dangerous happen. And I think that's the thing, is if you're going to start teaching people, you have to almost take responsibility for that. And I know that was a bigger problem with a lot of our classes and a lot of other issues that didn't happen particularly to my class, but I heard about in the general vicinity, is there was people got really hurt, or there was some other situations that it got very bad. And so, like, that's something I think it needs to be very much a conversation about these types of schoolings and whatnot, is that, like, there are real world consequences for silly things such as not putting your actor in charge of driving the car, especially when we've had actual classes about how that's not okay. And the fact that nobody said it on set, wild. But either way, I got my Bluetooth back, and I think I shoved it in a box somewhere, and I never once used it. I told myself I was going to make a character based around that with a Bluetooth, and I never did. To this day, I've never used a Bluetooth. Are they fun? Should I get another one? I don't think they're relevant anymore. Do people still use Bluetooth? I feel like it's a very specific vibe. I feel like you gotta have a BlackBerry. You gotta be like going to a business meeting and be like, I'm on my Bluetooth. Don't talk to me. Ugh. Anyway. So yeah, it was definitely very interesting, and I do think as somebody who has done so much makeup on sets, it is interesting to see when you do work with like male presenting actors or people who are going to be a little bit less prone to wearing makeup. Is that like like this is a little thing for actors in general. Yeah, you might be somebody who perceives himself as very masculine, but like if you're gonna be on camera, you probably are gonna be wearing some powder, probably a little bit of foundation, something to elevate your look. A lot of times people are washed out and they don't realize it. And I think we get a lot of these kind of actors who do that, where you have to almost guide them and be like, hey, I want you to look your best for this project. This project is very much about elevating things. So yes, you are going to be wearing makeup. Yes, you are going to be doing that. And I think also for me personally, having a director come over to me and tell me to put less makeup on somebody when I'm doing the bare minimum because they don't want their men to not feel like men, that's a very toxic trait. That's also like we're all actors, we're all directors, we're all in the arts. This is a very creative profession. And like that's the thing, is I'm not beating someone's face too hard. Yeah, the pretty looking actor, we did make him look a little better because he was open to it and he looked great. He stole the show from just his face alone. But I think like in general, we get people who are like, oh well, I'm funny, I don't have to be attractive. That's great, but you're shiny. You're shiny. It's distracting. And we don't want to be shiny. You never want to be shiny. I will say now, like, nowadays, I'm personally putting less makeup on myself when it comes to going on in videos. Like, right now, I'm barely wearing anything. I guess because I don't care. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm even shiny right now. So if I was doing, like, a real project, it would be a little bit of powder, a little bit of foundation, a little bit of something to just cover you up, make you look a little better. But I think that's what's so interesting, and an interesting learning curve for me as somebody who does a lot of makeup on projects, is that like you do have to walk a lot of new actors through things and like kind of be like, no one thinks you're this or that because you're wearing makeup. We're all very much on the same path of understanding that this is kind of important for how you look. It's a very superficial type profession sometimes, honestly. Yes, performances are very good, but for the most part, there's certain things that people just don't want to see. You don't want to see a lot of shininess. It's distracting and kind of takes away from the actual artwork itself. Not that the artwork itself is going to have a insert of your car that you're selling, but it's fine. It's fine, whatever. So anyway, this has been my kind of conversation about our third production workshops. Our production workshops were very interesting because they did teach us a lot about how to actually work as a big old crew. A lot of times we wouldn't necessarily be working with this big of a crew in my school. It was most of the time with like 4 or 5 people, if that, and like 3 sometimes. But this was like, we'd have like 12 people, lots of different voices, a lot of people running around kind of talking about different things. So I will say for the most part, it was very interesting to kind of have these big groups, especially when you had something crazy like that happen where it was kind of on the edge of dangerous. So that was something that was really interesting to learn. Anyway, this was our part 3 of our production workshop videos. I hope you guys really have enjoyed these. I'm really glad that you could come and watch. Make sure you follow and like for more content like this. I am trying to get through all of my years in film school. So thanks for watching. Please make sure you are subscribed. I would appreciate it. Love you guys so much. I am just going to try to get you through my years of going to school.